Hello, good evening, students. In the previous lecture, we are discussing this scope and objective of financial management. So this is lecture 2 of the first chapter. So basically, the scope of the financial management is efficient procurement of funds and efficient allocation of funds. These are the two broad decisions for a scope of financial management. So we'll discuss one by one. So first look at this procurement of funds. Procurement of funds is a complex decision. Procurement of funds is a complex business decision. Sir, why it is complex? What is the difficulty in procuring the funds? Sir, why it is difficult? What is the difficulty in procuring the funds? Esma, the difficulty is because of two reasons. Why? What are the two reasons why it is complicated? Because there are more sources of funds. There are more sources of funds, and each source has its own merits and demerits. It's not like earlier our father says or grandfather says there used to be only bank finance. Okay. So whenever you want to start the business, either put your own money or go to the bank. That's it. So hardly two sources, either our own funds or bankers funds. Okay. Olden days, our father's generation or our grandfather's generation. But now it is not like that. There are numerous sources of fundraising. There are numerous sources of fundraising. Each and every source of raising the finance has its own drawbacks, has its own advantages. Therefore, we have to analyze more. We have to analyze more number of options, and each number of options is very difficult. Each number of option has more terms and conditions, has more pros and cons. More number of sources, and each source has more pros and cons. Okay, more number of sources, and each source has more pros and cons. That is one reason why the procurement of funds is complex decision. This is one reason, more sources. And another reason is that no hard and fast rule. No hard and fast rule. No hard and fast rule. That means no straight away decision. Right? Equity is better. Equity is better. Debt is better. Sorry, debt is better. There is no straightforward rule. Okay, depends upon multiple factors. Which source? From which source I need to procure the funds. It depends upon multiple factors. Depends on multiple factors. Depends on multiple factors. Okay. So from which source I need to procure the fund depends on multiple sources. So multiple factors. What are the multiple factors? Okay. So what is the state of the economy? Whether the economy is stable or whether the economy is volatile. What is the life cycle stage of the company? Whether the company is in the initial stages, or the company is in a growth phase, or the company is in the maturity phase. So therefore, stage of company's life cycle. There are many points I'll discuss. So stage of company's life cycle, stage of company life cycle. This is the first point. Stage of company life cycle, and state of economy, and state of economy. Whether the economy is stable or whether the economy is fluctuating, volatile. If the economy is stable, you can prefer the debt. If the economy is very volatile, prefer the equity. Okay. So state of economy and the rate of interest prevailing in the market. Rate of interest prevailing in the market. If the rate of interest is very less, go for the debt. If the rate of interest is very high, better go for the equity. Better go for the equity. So therefore, rate of interest, etc. That is cost of funds. So cost of funds. So cost of funds, I should say cost of funds. So not only the cost of funds, for various reasons we need to consider. It is not that wherever the funds are cheaper, you'll go and get procured. Okay, no. It's not a straight simple decision that wherever the funds are cheaper, we'll go and procure it. No, it's a complicated decision. It's a complicated decision. We need to understand the stage of company's life cycle. Whether the companies in the initial stages, or the companies in the growth stage, or the companies in the mature stage. First, we have to analyze that. Second, state of the economy. Whether the economy is stable or whether the economy is volatile. So based on that, we have to take a decision, and cost of funds. So based on the cost of funds also, we can take a decision. So these are the reasons why the procurement of funds is a complicated decision. Okay. Why the procurement of funds is a complicated decision. These are the reasons. Next, various sources of funds, owners funds, debentures and bonds, commercial banks, angel financing, venture capital, etc. These two we'll discuss in the next chapter. We have a chapter 2 that is types of financing. We have a chapter 2 that is types of financing. There we'll discuss in detail angel financing and venture capital. There we'll discuss in detail. Okay. So this much, equity shareholders funds, debentures, bonds, commercial banks, etc. Commercial bank loans, etc. Remember, for the accounting perspective, equity share capital and preference share capital is treated as a part of the capital. Okay. Whereas from the financial management point of view, preference shares is better to treat it as a part of the debt. Therefore, preference shares will come under here only. So from the financial management point of view, it's better to treat the preference shares as a debt, quasi debt. Preference shares are a quasi debt, not hardcore funds. Owners funds means here equity shareholders funds. Owners funds means here equity shareholders funds. Owners funds means equity shareholders funds. Owners funds means equity shareholders funds. Preference shares are treated as a part of the debt. Preference shares are treated as a part of the debt. Okay, right. So basically procurement of funds is a complex decision because more number of sources and more number of factors to consider. There are more number of sources to from where you can procure and more factors to consider. So more number of sources to consider and more factors to consider. So end of the day, it is a very complicated decision, right? Now, briefly, we have to balance between debt and equity. These are the fundamental principles. So make a good balance between debt and equity. Don't go for any extreme. Don't go for too much debt or don't go for lack of debt. Do balance both. We have to minimize the cost. This is primary objective and this is the side effects. So we have to ensure that there are no side effects. Our main target is to minimize the cost, but we have to ensure that main target does not have any side effects. That is balancing risk and control. We have to balance both risk and control. Next, no need to restrict traditional source of funding. Innovative funding can be tried. Okay, so I am restricting my discussion to the extent covered in the ICA study material. Okay, because financial management is a ocean. The topic of financial management is an ocean. Therefore, I have to stick on to what is there in the syllabus. I have to stick on to what is there in the syllabus. Therefore, my lectures is purely stick on to the ICA sources, not beyond that. So ICA sources says there is one innovative funding. In reality, there are many innovative ways of funding, but just as I told you, I'll stick on to what is there in the ICA study material. So ICA study material says one of the innovative ways of funding is carbon credits. One of the innovative funding is carbon credits. One of the innovative of funding is the carbon credits. Sir, what is meant by carbon credits? What is meant by carbon credits? So in order to balance the pollution in the environment, some industries may be generating more pollution, some industries may be generating less pollution. Therefore, government will give quota. You can generate pollution only up to this much. Yes, we will generate the pollution. Without pollution, there will be no growth at all. If you bother about the pollution, there will be no industries, no vehicles, no factories, nothing. Therefore, we have to tolerate the pollution. That's it. Therefore, government will give some quota. Okay, this company can generate this much of pollution. This company can generate this much of pollution. Okay, so overall balance. So government will give, say, for example, for me 80, for me 100, and my competitor also 100. Okay, what I will do is that total 200. Total pollution in the environment is 200. So for my company 100, my competitor company 100. So total pollution is 200. Total pollution in the environment is 200. Therefore, what I will do is that I'll generate less pollution. I'll generate less pollution. Only 80. Only up to 80 points I'll generate the pollution. Whereas my competitor is generating 120 points. So what I will do is that whatever I have saved 20 points, I'll transfer to him. Whatever I have saved 20 points, that I'll transfer to him. So he will generate more pollution. For that transfer, he'll give money to me. That means when I'm generating less pollution, I save the environment, then I'll get the funding from other companies which are polluting. That means those who are saving the environment by generating less pollution will get funding from the companies which are generating more pollution. Those companies which are generating less pollution will get funding from the companies which are generating more pollution. That is called as a carbon credits. Okay. I'm sticking on to my discussion in brief because that is not a part of our syllabus. It's just discussed as a matter of example, but it is very interesting. You can go and search in the internet what is called as a carbon credit. So simply speaking, those who are generating less pollution, they can transfer their credit to the companies which are generating more pollution. So accordingly, they will get the fund. Okay, companies generating less pollution will get funds from the companies generating more pollution. That is called as a carbon credit. That's it. That is one of the innovative ways of funding. Not only debentures, bonds, bank loans, etc. Think creatively. Okay, you will get more sources. Okay, right. Next. Now everybody knows that we are living in a globalized world. There is no geographical barriers. Therefore, don't stick to your thinking onto the domestic source of finance. Look at the whole world. Wherever the funds are available, which are convenient for you, raise the funds. There is no barriers at all. Therefore, financial markets and goods markets both are integrated. Financial markets and goods markets both are integrated all over the world. Therefore, you can raise the funds from anywhere in the world. Don't stick on to options only available in India. Don't stick on to options only available within the country. Expand your mindset. Think broad. Think broad, expand your mindset and think about the whole world where I can get better source of funds, where I can get better source of funds. That is one point. Okay, these are the important points we need to kept in mind while procuring the funds. Okay, so carbon credits, innovative way, and don't stick on to domestic sources. You can go to the international sources also. Next, so utilization of funds. These are procurement of funds. Basically, we have two functions of financial management. One is procurement of funds. Another one is efficient utilization of funds. So I have covered this thing, procurement of funds. Now we'll go to the second point. That is effective utilization of funds. Effective utilization of funds. Right. So it's a very complicated table. I'll explain, concentrate. Fixed assets. So whatever the funds I have, if I'm investing more in fixed assets, so high fixed assets means obviously whatever the funds I have, if I'm investing more amount in fixed assets, obviously less will be available in working capital by default. Balancing figure I have to think. Balancing figure we have to think. Balancing figure we have to think. Okay. Balancing figure we have to think. So this column is about. So high fixed assets and low working capital. High fixed assets and low working capital. Okay. So this is about high fixed assets and low working capital. Only this much portion. Now I'll discuss only this much portion. This much portion is high fixed assets and low working capital. High fixed assets, low working capital. High fixed assets and low working capital. This much high fixed assets and low working capital. Okay, optimum level of product. When I'm having more machinery, more equipment, more fixed assets, obviously my production will be high. So I'm investing more amount in the fixed assets. Therefore, I'll have more machinery, more equipment. Accordingly, my production is more. My sales are more. Accordingly, my production is more. My sales are more. Okay, that is one point. So production is more and sales are more. But what is the drawback? Low liquidity. So therefore, the consequences is that high profitability, low liquidity. We have to balance both high profitability, low liquidity. High profitability, low liquidity. That is the drawback of this. High fixed assets, therefore high profitability, low working capital, therefore low liquidity. That is not correct. So investing more amount in the fixed assets and investing very less amount in the working capital has both advantage and disadvantage. So what is the advantage? If I invest more amount in the fixed assets and less amount in the working capital, you will get more profits, more production, more sales. So what is the drawbacks? You may not be able to maintain your reputation in the market. You may not be able to meet your contractual obligations in the form of creditors payments or in the form of salaries, rent, etc. You may not be able to keep up your contractual obligations. Okay, that is the reason. So therefore, it has both merits and demerits. Therefore, it is not that which is high and which is low. Everything has its own pros and cons. We have to do a balance. We have to do the balance. That is what the point. Next, if you look at this concept, reverse. If you look at this concept, this is reverse. Okay, so this is quite opposite. What is this concept? Low fixed assets and high working capital. Low fixed assets and high working capital. Low fixed assets and high working capital. So since high working capital, more liquidity. Advantage is more liquidity. Since I am having high working capital, advantage is more liquidity. You understand, ma? Since I am having high working capital, more liquidity. The advantage is more liquidity. Since I am having low fixed assets, the drawback is low profits. Since I am having low fixed assets, the drawback is lower profits. The drawback is lower profits. Okay, right. This is the reason. So low fixed assets, high working capital. Low fixed assets, high working capital. Low fixed assets, low profit, high working capital, high liquidity. Okay. So this column is about high liquidity and low profitability. High liquidity, low profitability. High liquidity and low profitability. High liquidity and low profitability. Okay. This is what the point, right? And this is what the point. So therefore, these two you can match, cross verify. You can cross verify, both are same. You can cross verify, both are same. This is also high fixed assets and low working capital. This is also low working capital and high fixed assets. Both are same. So working capital low, that means fixed assets is high. Working capital low, that means fixed assets is high. Working capital is low, that means fixed assets is high. Okay, so both are same. Similarly, these two are also same. These two are also same. If there is any examination question, what is the merit of high working capital and what is the demerit of high working capital? What is the merit of high working capital? What is the demerit of high working capital? That is one way of answering. Another way of questioning is that what is the merit of low fixed assets and what is the demerit of low fixed assets? This is way. That is the reason I have duplicated it, because of the possible examination question. Examination question can be high working capital, or examination question can be low fixed assets. Therefore, for both the answer is same. Examination question can be high working capital or low fixed assets. Answer is same. Okay, answer is same. So end of the day, what is the conclusion, ma? End of the day, what is the conclusion? High fixed assets, low working capital. High fixed assets, low working capital. What is the output? High fixed assets, high profitability. High fixed assets, high profitability. Okay, low working capital, low liquidity. Low working capital, low liquidity. This is what the point. Low working capital, low liquidity. Next similarly, so high working capital, low fixed assets. High working capital, low fixed assets, or you can say low fixed assets. Anyway, you can write it. Okay, right. Low fixed assets, high working capital. Low fixed assets, high working capital. Low fixed assets, high working capital. What is the drawback of low fixed assets? The drawback of low fixed assets is that low profitability. Low profitability. The drawback of high working capital is that high liquidity. High liquidity. Therefore, both are extremes. Both are extremes. We have to do the balance. So we have to do the balance. Never resort to extremes, to this end or to that end. Do the balance. Don't put too much in the fixed assets. Don't put too much in the working capital. Do the balance. Depends upon the situation. We have to strike a good balance. Therefore, it is an art. So financial management is an art, not a science. So there is no mathematical precision. There is no mathematical precision that in these circumstances we have to do this. There is no precision. Financial management is an art. Depends upon the scenario. We have to take the decision. We have to take the decision. It depends more on the experience rather than based on your academic knowledge. Financial management, the business world is very dynamic. The business world is very dynamic. We need to rely more on our experience rather than our academic literature. Okay. So this is what in this short lecture, I shared these two: procurement of funds and efficient utilization of funds. In the coming lecture, in the next lecture, we'll discuss how the financial management has been evolving. There are three phases from 1900 to 1940. How is the financial management? 1940 to 1950. How is the financial management? 1950 onwards, today, present days. What is the financial management? There are three phases are there: 1900 to 1940, 1940 to 1950, and 1950 to the present date. There are three different phases. How the financial management has changed. How the financial management has changed. That is called as evolution of funds. So that we'll discuss in the upcoming lecture. Okay.